Hello. Well, today I'm going to talk about a film that celebrates its 40th anniversary, and that is Ferris Bueller's Day Off. And I think the back here summarizes it up very well. Sorry, not here. Instead, high schooler Ferris Bueller, his girlfriend Sloane, and his best bud Cameron are off on a spontaneous romp through Chicago, known as Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Hopefully, you'll enjoy the bonus material that gives you an insider's peek at the hilarious comedy hit from John Hughes. So, barf up along, forge a sick note from the parents, and tag along to one of the funniest adventures to ever sweep the Windy City. What are you still doing here? Say Ferris, which, of course, during school, everybody hears he's sick, and all this stuff goes around and makes it as if he's literally about to die. And yeah, obviously he fakes being sick so he doesn't have to go. And his principal, Ed Rooney, he suspects he's not sick, and his sister Jeannie, she knows he's not sick and wants to try to prove it, because Ferris basically gets away with everything, and yeah, she's tired of it. And yeah, this is just a very fun film. I remember watching this when I was like a teenager, when I was like 13, 14, for the very first time, and just really enjoying and loving this movie. Just how fun it is, and obviously I already knew who John Hughes was. Planes, Trains, and Automobiles is a film that I've mentioned before and talked about how I have watched that for Thanksgiving for so many years, like pretty much my whole life, honestly. And he also made 16 Candles, Pretty in Pink, Breakfast Club, and obviously this was amongst them. This is before Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, so the Ed Rooney's secretary plays the woman in Planes, Trains, when the famous scene with Steve Martin when he's just had it and he unloads a tirade of a very particular word. And Ferris Bueller's dad was in the meeting at the very beginning of the film with Steve Martin's character Neil, and saying, like, he'll never meet, basically, he'll never make the plane on time. Like, and if he does, it's, you should just wait till the morning. So, John Hughes, definitely a well-known writer and director up to this point. I remember seeing something where Michael Anthony Hall. Apparently, John Hughes wanted him originally to be Ferris Bueller, but he wanted to do something different. He had done some stuff. Obviously, he did Breakfast Club, and he did like Weird Science and other things. And the stuff of John Hughes. And so he wanted to do something else, which he kind of regretted later on. But he also concedes like Matthew Broderick was perfect for Ferris Bueller. So if he did do it, he doesn't believe he would have been as good, as Ferris. And this film really did launch Matthew Broderick's career. Made him well known, and he was able to do way more. And this steelbook is actually really cool. Obviously, as it says, celebrating 35 years. So, is that Ferris Bueller in the car? And then at the museum, looking at the paintings, there's the disc. This has 2020, which it's not exactly 35 years since this year is. Though, no doubt this, 2021. This was, I'm sure the Steelbook came out in 2020, but then obviously for the 35th anniversary, make sure that said that there. And I remember getting this at Target. Yeah, I remember when Target actually had Blu-rays and DVDs and 4Ks you could actually buy in the store. Apparently you can get them online still, but it's like kind of who cares. In a way, it's like you're not, if you're actually going to Target to get stuff, you're curious about maybe getting a movie, well, you can't unless you go online. It's kind of a bummer. But yeah, I remember getting this and it was like $10 or $15. I think it was 15, which for a Steelbook, that's quite something. And even though it does say on the back 2020, at the same time, even though it was a year later and they just put this on it, probably could have the price up further, but I'm not going to be all that upset about it. But yeah, everybody in this film did a great job. There's also a scene with Charlie Sheen. Did this right before Platoon, so people got to see Charlie Sheen in a major film before the film later in the year that made him well known. Obviously Platoon. So obviously he had done some other stuff. I think Red Dawn was like the first major film he had done a couple years before, but this film, with John Hughes, that was huge. And apparently he told a story how he actually, he did not arrive on time. He's like, I made sure I was gonna get there because Jennifer Grey, who again played Jeannie, Ferris's sister, she got him the job, got him the job for the scenes that he's in, and he was late. He slept in, like his alarm didn't go off or something, and he got there late. She berates him, but then when John Hughes meets her, like, "Oh, you're here, great. Well, let's get going." And he didn't yell at him or anything, and so he was just very, in a way, he was very thankful that he didn't have another person not only just berate him, but that he also wasn't fired. Because, any other kind of director might have fired him, but John Hughes was just glad that the dude was there. And, Ben Stein plays the one, the famous teacher goes, Bueller, Bueller, Bueller. And Ben Stein was like an economist. He hadn't really done acting until this film, and ever since he has been in various other films, like The Mask. That's another notable film that he's done. But yeah, Ben Stein, his voice is just, in many ways, deadpan delivery of just the lines that he has to say was quite, quite fitting in the many roles he plays. And here he's just somebody like economics, and he also in there, because there is a special feature of the world according to Ben Stein. He talks about how he used to write speeches for Richard Nixon, and how he, because of his background as an economist, he was able to work in Washington for a while and great speeches and all that. And so, yeah, it's quite interesting how all certain people who were part of this became well known later, either thanks to this or maybe directly afterwards. Like in the case of Charlie Sheen, um, which of course he plays a guy in jail there for drugs. He asks Jeannie if he was there for drugs. Like, what are you in here for? Drugs. Which, by that point, Charlie Sheen's like, he hadn't really done much of any drugs. Later on, he absolutely did. So, yeah. But we all know that about Charlie Sheen. But, yeah, everybody in this, and I know I'm kind of just summarizing this and not going super in depth. But this is a film people pretty much know. Everybody's mostly seen this at one point in their life. And, dude skips school by pretending he's sick, gets his friend who's also sick, but he's like, he's not really sick, he's just so uptight, and he just convinces himself he's sick and all this and that, and is able to get his girlfriend out of school, and that whole scene is quite just quite funny. It's just hilarious. This movie is just great. John Hughes, he was a great writer and a director. I know by the time the 90s came, he stopped directing, and apparently to people who knew him, he kind of wanted to direct, but if he was going to direct, he needed the right thing. Like, where he kept writing, but he needed the right thing. And apparently, the death of John Candy had a major impact on him. Stop directing. Like, that was going to be his guy, and then his guy unfortunately passed away, and so that definitely had a hinder in him no longer directing, but which is unfortunate, but I can understand that. Yeah, this is a great film. So if you haven't seen it, I don't believe I've said too much, but if you have seen it, and yeah, you'll understand what I'm talking about. Now, maybe not everybody loves this film, but overall, it's a fairly entertaining movie at the very least. Very amusing. Just classic '80s film. Very '80s. So yeah. Let me know what you think of Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Do you enjoy it? Do you dislike it? Are you somewhere in between? Like certain aspects of it? Yeah, maybe there's certain aspects you're not fond of. Yeah, if so, you can let me know. But yeah, I enjoy this film. It's really fun. And yeah. Anyway, I will see you all next time. Please have a great day, have a great weekend, and have a great next week. See you next time.